Now for a look at ag around the world. Shipping problems in the Red Sea are starting to impact U.S. ag companies, creating new supply chain issues. National reporter Michelle Rook has an update.
The problems in the Red Sea are having a domino effect on global shipping issues and serving as a headwind for U.S. food and agricultural exports and imports. Protein companies are being hit, including Tyson Foods, Hormel Foods, and Pilgrim's Pride Corporation, who export to Asia, as well as Latin American protein companies such as JBS, Marfrig, and Minerva Foods.
We're having disruptions now not only in the Gaza-Israeli area, but the Red Sea area, which I realize that a small percent of our exports go to that part of the world, but these supply chains are global. So where there's a kink in the armor in one part of the world, if it goes on long enough, it usually ends up affecting other parts of the world. So we need to keep an eye on that as well.
Routing south around Africa's Cape of Good Hope adds another 16 days to transit time. That's nearly doubled shipping rates in the Red Sea and increased rates in other areas of the globe as well.
They're volatile is probably the right word. They're up and then they're down, and there's another issue in another area. So the volatility is almost as bad as the actual rate itself. And that's in the last year and a half been more of a concern.
U.S. grain and oilseed exports have also faced global choke points for shipping, and the Red Sea has become part of that story.
With essentially ag not hardly getting through the Panama Canal, we were rerouting a lot of shipping through the Red Sea, through the Suez Canal. And you can see that in the shipping data. But that's obviously had its challenges with the tax on shipping. So it's created longer transit times to get beans to Asia.
Food companies importing from countries like Asia face the greatest risk from shipping disruptions, including coffee, spices, and even specialty sauces from Italy. Higher transportation costs will likely get tacked on at the grocery store. I'm Michelle Rook for U.S. Farm Report.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, the conflict in the Red Sea could also have a major impact on fertilizer prices and availability. Josh Linville, who's vice president for fertilizer for Stone X Group, telling me the biggest hit could be to nitrogen.
When you look at the U.S., half of our urea imports for every year come from the Middle East region. And we've been watching the Red Sea very closely. Of course, these attacks on vessels have caused a lot of the vessels to decide, I don't want to take the chance. I don't want to put my vessel at risk. I don't want to put my people at risk. So they're opting to take the clauses in there, basically a wartime clause, and go south around Africa. That adds more freight charge to it, of course, but the worst part is, given how close we are to spring, it tacks on another 10 to 15 days worth of sail time to get to the North American marketplace. And when you look at how crunched we are against spring coming, that could be a big deal.
He says there's also worries the conflict could spill over into the Persian Gulf region, an area that's a major exporter of urea. He says that little pocket of the world alone exports tens of millions of tons of urea per year. EU leadership is shelving a plan to restrict pesticides by half. It's seen as a victory for farmers following weeks of protests across the 27 nations. The European Commission did release its roadmap for slashing carbon pollution by 90% of 1990 levels by 2040. But it also took out a section on climate action in the agriculture sector. That section called for a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture compared to 2015 levels. The EU document sets the goal and outlines how to get there, touching on fossil fuels, transportation, and industry. It could take up to a year for the European Parliament to approve the roadmap, but it's likely to set a benchmark for developed nations worldwide. Well, here at home, she has used her voice to make a major impact on agriculture, and she's this year's 2024 Top Producer Women in Ag winner. We introduce you to Pam Johnson next.